Hey everybody, how's it going? Today we're going to be fixing a MacBook. Here we have an A1706 that appears to not be turning on. We're going to open this thing up and see if we can figure out what's wrong with it. It looks like the customer over here tells us that the problem description says that he's using it mid-sentence typing and it just shut off. It was plugged in and charged at the time. Tried a local place. They said they could not find the problem. I have my data backed up separately. I just want it to turn on and work. Let's see if we can make this MacBook work again. Make a happy customer. So we can open up this MacBook and get inside of it. We're going to figure out what's wrong with it. And then it's going to work again. Slippery's has not changed at all. I have a meeting with my landlord scheduled for Wednesday. It's just honestly a waste of time. Like I have an almost I have a very Asperger's way of negotiating with people, and it really doesn't work well at all. Like there's no reason for them to lower my rent because they're going to look around and see that, why is there a Phillips screw in here? Are you serious? There's a Phillips screw in this MacBook. There's not supposed to be a Phillips screw at the bottom. They're going to look and say, well, you have a lower price per square foot than any other place in the area is asking, which is true. However, all the other places that are asking are empty. Also, when you walk around the street, you'll see that there's tons of people coming back to New York City. There's a lot of people on the street, so why would you want why does your rent need to be lowered? All the businesses are gone. There's a lot of people on the street, but they're not, like, the businesses in the area are kind of gone. So it's going to be a weird one. And it really doesn't make any sense to, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, it doesn't make sense for me to say, oh, I want my rent lowered for whatever. Like, because even if I were on the other end of that conversation, I'd tell me to go F myself. Like, the only thing that makes sense to say is, here's a place that I found. I'm going to be going. I apologize for not being able to complete my lease. Here's my good guy clause. Here's the keys. Best of luck. I appreciate everything you've done for me. And like that, at that point with the oh my God, this is horrible. What did you do? Where'd you take this to? What is this? Why is the foam around the speaker messed up? Why is the battery not even screwed in? Are you fucking kidding me? You dumb fucks. Who serviced this before me? I feel horrible for this customer. This customer got screwed over horribly. Oh man, this is why people don't like independent repair, and it sucks. It doesn't represent all of independent repair, but this is lame. Look at this shit. Like, where are the screws? Where are the screws? And even if you don't have the screws, why is this over here instead of being over here? There's no good reason for this shit. Like, just show some respect for your customers' devices. You don't have to show respect for them, but at the very least, respect their property. For fuck's sake, this is just shameful. Because the thing is, when you don't show respect for their property, it shows that you don't have a respect for your craft. And if you don't have a respect for your craft, then why should anybody respect you? Or the people in this craft that actually put in some effort to do things properly. My God, this is shameful. I wouldn't want to give people back shit that looks like this. I mean, I've had cases in the past where people haven't done stuff as bad as this, but where they've given something back that's like this. That's an instant firing. Oh man, that's lame. That's a horrible show of disrespect for the customer's property right there. And again, I would say a horrible show of disrespect. Okay, so the battery's unplugged already because it can't be plugged in because it's missing the damn screw that goes there. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug in the USB-C amp meter, see how much this is taking, and see if we can figure out the cause of our problem. So when we plug in the USB-C amp meter, it looks like 20 volts, 100 milliamps, but then 20 milliamps. But then it's stuck at 20 milliamps. And it's not turning on. So we already know that pp3v3_g3hot must be present. pp3v3_g3hot must be present because we are getting 20 volts, which requires the CD3215s to work. The CD3215s working requires pp3v3_g3hot to be present. So that's there. Now we really got to kind of explore around the machine and try and figure out why we're stuck at 20 volts but not turning on. But yeah, going back to what I was saying, like, it doesn't actually make sense to make a deal with me because, I mean, the price per square foot that they're asking, in contrast, everything else in the area is not bad. The problem is that everything else in the area is insane. So just because you're, affordable by comparison doesn't really make sense. So, like, it only makes sense if I find, like, I have to do this whole thing where I find another space that's worthwhile. I intend to move in there. But like it's not even like I'm doing it as an act. Like I'm gonna get this cheaper space so I can show you and negotiate with you. Like if I find something better, I'm not a negotiator. I just don't have the mindset for negotiating. I would just say, no, okay, I found it, I signed, I left. Did I just say I left? I said I left, didn't I? Wow. I guess it is autumn. There are a lot of leaves outside. But I would mean it. I just gotta. And there was the place earlier today that was pretty promising. It's just you have to buzz people in, which is kind of lame. But like, do I really necessarily care about the walk by as much? Or would the people that would have walked in not like? Are they finding me because I have 1.7 million subscribers on YouTube and the best Yelp reviews and Google reviews in the city? Or are they finding me because they actually saw me at the street level? Like, how important is the whole street level thing? I don't really know. I don't think it's that important because I remember getting loads of business when I was in a filthy basement that you had to get buzzed into. I'm not kidding out my home as a workshop. I'm past that stage in my life. When I go home, I want to be home. There was a point in time where I would have been happy as a pig in shit if I could make just barely enough to survive working out of my apartment. And like, I don't want customers coming near my home. I don't want to be like, racing the clock to get things done for people in my home. Like, I think that's a downgrade that I'm not necessarily willing to make. But it's also a downgrade that I wouldn't be capable of making because then I'd have to have employees in my home all day. And then it doesn't really make sense. If you franchise alone, if your name alone will carry you. Yeah, but you think people would actually be willing to pay a franchise fee to be able to say they're this business versus another? Because you have to consider how off-brand that is. My brand has always been, make your own store, be independent, freedom. And then to kind of say, oh, by the way, if you want to, instead of use your name and be proud of your name and your business that you built with your reputation, use mine and pay me $100,000 for the right to open a Rossman Repair. That's it's off-brand, I think. It's not even selling out necessarily. It's just very off-brand to the point where I don't even think it would be selling out because I don't necessarily think I would have something to sell. Also, there was not a recording studio that had birds. That was my old store. The studio, this was pre-YouTube, honestly. This was like 2009 through 11. Those were the early days. The early days, Aaron. That doesn't make sense, Ian, because then I'll pay as much as this. So having a storefront plus an office, it would literally cost as much as this store, except it would be separate. So I would not only be paying more money than I do right now, but I'd actually have less. I have less freedom. And then you'd also have to transport. And again, having a shop that handles drop-offs that then transports it to another facility, it's fundamentally against the entire concept of this business. And it's something I would never, ever consider doing. Like if you just read the About Us section on my website, most of that section, even if you go to archive.org, it's remained unchanged over the past 11 or 12 years. That About Us section is serious, and I mean what I wrote there. It's not like just written there just, to entice people to show up and then fuck them over or fleece them over. The person you speak to is a person who is just as knowledgeable. The repair is going to be done on site. I'm not shipping it off to somebody else to do the work for me. And there's a certain level of customer service you get. There are so many times that Kevin may, not have an answer to a question, so he just walks over to Paul or Steve or somebody else or the actual person that's going to fix it and ask the question and then is able to answer that for the customer, regards to how likely something is to be fixable, how viable it is, whether it can be rushed or not. There's all different types of things that you're just not going to get when you have a brainless person who's just, I shouldn't call Kevin brainless. That's actually not fair. Kevin's actually a really smart guy. But there's all sorts of stuff that you don't get when you have that typical model of like a U-Break, iFix, or a CPR that outsources all their work, the real work or the hard work to somebody else. It's not on brand for the company to have a separate Now, having a separate location for mail-in repairs versus repairs that are walk-in repairs, that's different. Because it doesn't change the basic model, which is the place you're sending it to is the place that's doing it. But the idea of having a separate location where like, okay, here are the people that smile at you, and over here are the people that actually do the work, that's just fundamentally off-brand to everything that I've advertised that makes us different than everybody else over the past 13 years. And if I did something like that, not only would I not expect to succeed, but I wouldn't even want to succeed anymore at that point, to be honest with you. I'd feel kind of ashamed if that model actually succeeded. Isn't your storefront under a 10-year lease? Yes, it is, and I can leave whenever I want because I had a good attorney negotiate my lease. I can walk out at any point that I want. I hand over the keys, I make sure it's clean, and it's yours now. Have fun. So that's I don't sign leases without reading them, and I also don't sign leases without people who know more than me, who are experts in that particular field, reading it along with me and telling me what I should do. Okay, and we're still getting the 200 milliamps, even when everything's unplugged from the machine. So, first thing I usually like to do is I like to go through the power rails and figure out what is there, what is missing. And as you all know, we have a PP bus, and I want to make sure that it is present. So let's take a look at where's the PP bus fuse on this. And I am so out of my element, I almost lost the PP bus fuse. Show me the PP bus. 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 Also, I want to see a list of all the rails in the machine. And there's going to be a page in the schematic that has all the rails, and bam, here we are. So first thing I do is I want to see if PP bus G3 hot is present, and I'm also going to want to see if it's shorted to ground. In order to see if it's shorted to ground, I'm going to have to turn on Paul Daniels' evil multimeter software, which should show up in the screen momentarily. There we go. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay, so we're in resistance mode here, and I do this. Do we have a PP bus short? No way. Seriously? Oh, come on. No way I got one that's this easy. Bro, that's not fair. That's not fair to everybody else here. I wasn't even trying, I swear, I promise. Okay, so one ohm short to ground on PP bus G3 hot. Oh, man. Paul's going to actually probably walk in here and kill me because I think this was in his status, but he never has to know. He doesn't have to know. So I looked at the list of power rails over here. Got a list of power rails over here. And on this list of power rails, the first one here is PP bus G3 hot. Remember, the G3 hots come first. Those are the rails that are always on. S5s, rails on when the machine's off. S4, rails that are on when the machine is hibernating. S3, rails that are on when the machine is sleeping. SO, rails that are on when the computer is on. And as you can see here, many of these power rails have the suffix S4, S3, SO. So for instance, G3 hot, that's going to be a rail like charging the battery, because that's always going on. The battery is always going to be on. That's a G3 hot rail. Let's say, I don't know, your keyboard. So you use your keyboard to wake yourself from hibernate. That's going to be an S4 rail. Your RAM, that's an S3 rail, because you are going to save all the stuff that is going on in your computer when you put it to sleep or suspend in an S3 state to RAM. So the applications you have open, what's in those apps, all that stuff gets saved to RAM. So the RAM is going to be on. So the RAM would be an S3 rail. And something like the screen, that's going to be an SO rail. Your screen's backlight is not on when the computer's sleeping, but it's on when the computer's on. So I checked the first rail on the G3 hot list besides PP3v3 underscore G3 hot. Remember, PP3v3 underscore G3 hot is necessary in order for us to have the CD3215 work, which is necessary for the charger to get to 20 volts. And since the charger is already at 20 volts, I know that that rail's present. So I checked the next one on the G3 hot list, which is PP bus G3 hot, and it just so happens to be shorted to ground. So now we have to figure out why. And admittedly, this is the repair that everybody here is always excited and happy to get, because it tends to be a very easy one where all you got to do is take a look and find the cap that looks the nastiest, pop it off the board, and everything works. And sometimes you get lucky and the cap is obviously cracked and damaged. I'm curious if we will be so lucky as to have that be the case here. If not, we will run some power into PP bus G3 hot and see what gets warm. I wonder what gets warm. What's the point of repairing if you can replace on warranty? A, they don't give you your data back if you replace it. B, it's old, so it's not in warranty. C, warranty takes forever. So sometimes people need their shit back so quickly, and they're so impatient that they'd rather pay me than wait a week or two for Apple. I'm not always faster than Apple in those cases, but a good amount of the time I am. So let's see. Does anything here look like it's obviously shorted to ground? Yeah, my camera's unplugged. When do you move to your next door? I vote for one with 2 floors. Funny. Why I ever moved is beyond me. I know it sounds like whining shit, and I don't really care at this point, but I just kind of get tired of always making the wrong decision. I have a way of always making the wrong decision, and I appreciate the fact that I always recover from it. You know, I always manage to land on my feet. But at some point, I'd like to just stop landing. You know? Like, I have immense appreciation for the fact that for all my failures in life, I always land on my feet. But at some point, just a little less falling. I shouldn't say failing and falling, same shit here. Usually it's these tantalum caps that say knee and NEC on them. Knee. They're kneeing that wind up shorting to ground. I know someday I'll start making better life decisions. Someday. Maybe it's not that you always make the wrong decisions, that you beat yourself up about the wrong ones so you remember them. Perhaps. I also have a tendency to make the wrong decision over and over again. Whoa, look at that resistor, it's on sideways. You don't see that very often. Look at that, that's so cool. I love seeing that. It's so, I don't know what it is, but it brings a smile to my day to see the resistor soldered on sideways. You see that? Right in the middle over there? That is so cool. I love when I see that. Look at this. Look at how cool that is. They soldered the resistor on the wrong way, but it looks awesome. It puts a skip in my step every time I see that. Look at how cool this is. I love the way the boards look like little cities. Not New York cities, but, you know, cities that are not messes. Is this my cap? Or is that just dirt? See how that area over there is? On this cap, there was like a mark going down it. I kind of wonder. That's a sticker. Alright, we're going to have to do an owie test, I suppose. Yeah, this short's not going to present itself easily. It wants me to go do the owie test, so we're going to do the owie test, alright? How do you all feel about that? You want to see me burn myself and get a laugh? You know, we do have a thermal camera here, but the problem with the thermal cam is it requires that I get up and go to the other side of the room and plug it in, then wait for it to beep, then plug in the Ethernet, then after that open the software, then pair it in the software. And like literally by the time I've done all of that, I've usually already burned myself. And admittedly, watching me burn myself is probably fun. And you know, it engages the studio audience. So, you know, I could just do the normal way of like, let me get a thermal camera and show you the thermal cam way. And admittedly, sometimes that is the way to do it. But the studio audience clearly prefers watching me burn myself. So I will do that for your enjoyment. Okay. And it's just more visceral and fun that way. I could get a thermal camera that's handheld, but I got the one that I got right now for free, and I don't want to buy another one. Because it really is one of those things where I'll almost always find the short in the same amount of time this way. Now, if it's an iPhone and it's a partial short, no. If we're talking about an iPhone with a partial short, I am more than happy to march out there and set up the thermal camera because I am not finding like a 300 ohm or a 200 ohm thing on an iPhone with my finger. But it was 0 ohm short to ground on a 12 or a 13 volt rail. I'll find a way to make that work. I'm not worried about that. Now, it is tempting to also use your employees and their faces for thermal testing. Like, let's say, I don't know, somebody that trolls your videos by wearing rings and ripping caps off of the board, like an L. It would most certainly be very tempting to use his face as a short detector. But I'm pretty sure that that's not legal. I think that the employer or the boss is allowed to abuse himself, but not others. Although it is tempting. We want thermal Pepe, says Thomas Kitchen. I thank you. So we are going to solder 12 volts over to this PP bus fuse over here. We are going to put some amperage through this board. We are going to see what shows up. Now, it looks like nothing. Huh? Oh, seriously now? 0 amps, 0 what you... Oh, the PP bus fuse may not be good because of the short. The short may have killed my PP bus fuse, and I may have soldered to the wrong side of the fuse. Let's see if that's it. Nope. Okay, let's try this again. We are going to put 1.7 volts in there. Nothing crazy, just a small little 1.7 volts. And now let's see if that 1.7 is actually going through to the machine. And it is. So our short is not there? Is that serious? You have to be trolling. Surely you must be trolling. Because when I measured that just a moment ago, there was a short to ground. And you guys all saw it. I measured it right in front of you, unless I soldered to the wrong piece, which is very possible. I'm out of practice. Could have screwed something up, but I don't think that's the case. All right, we're going to turn the power supply off here for a moment. Measure resistance to ground. And the short is... Are you serious? I measured this just a moment ago. What? No way. Oh, that's fucking trolling. Come on. Are you saying that the short disappeared in the time I was making this video and the fuse is not blown either? Okay. Something fishy's going on here, my friends. Something fishy is going on here. I think one of you is screwing with me. That's what's going on here. One of you is messing with me. So I turn the power supply off. I'm going to plug this in. And let's see what happens on our PP bus. And if you're 20 volt... Okay. Let's see. What do we get on PP bus G3 hot? 13! What? You were shorted just a second ago. Okay, that's... Oh, scraping the cap fixed it. Yeah. Funny. Honestly, there are some things that I really missed about board repair. I enjoy doing this, and this is definitely not one of them. I despise the time when this job makes you question your sanity. And times like this genuinely make you question your sanity. Like, I have to rewind the video now and look, okay, did that actually happen? Maybe that didn't actually happen. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe I dreamed it. It's possible that I dreamed that this happened. I let my memes be dreams. And that would be... Am I insane? Did I not measure a 0 ohm short to ground right there? What a troll. All right, well, let's go down the rest of the list then, shall we? I'll turn the fume extractor off. Turn the fume extractor off, and we'll go down the rest of the list and see if we can figure out what rails are missing and why. So we're going to go into the schematic, and we take a look. We got PP bus G3 hot and PP3V3 G3 hot. PP DCN has to be there because if PP DCN wasn't there, we'd have nothing else. That's the DCN board. So what's going to come next? Well, that's an excellent question. We're out of G3 hot rails. Let's check our S5s. One of the S5s that we should check first is the PP5ES5. And the PP5ES5 will be found by M. Here we go. PP5ES5. And we're just going to put this on the other side here. And we'll see where it is on the board. The schematic in the board view software says that I can find that on U7650. Let's take a look at U7650. One of the things that I'm really sad to have learned, by the way, is that Dan and Chris are actually using something other than Flex Board View because the M1 MacBook schematics supposedly don't load in it. I was aggravated, Paul Daniels. I was mad. I was so mad that the people in this store, if there are years of loyalty to you, have decided to use somebody else's software for schematics. I was pissed. Okay. I don't even know if what they're saying is true or not, but I'm... Okay, so PP5ES5 is 5 volts. Well, we're just going to continue on to the next rail. Let's check PP3V3S5. Can you do me a favor, Paul? Can you email Dan at rossmangroup.com and ask him what software he's using and why? Because he showed me it earlier today, and it actually broke my heart. Like, I'm not kidding. I was sad when I saw that. After all the work and effort this man has put in, you're using somebody else's software. Shame. Okay, next up is PP3V3S5. Ooh. Okay, PP3V3S5 has... Interesting, the multimeter software died. One moment. Ugh. The multimeter software? What happened to you, little multimeter software? Oh, the piece of shit serial thing in the back of my multimeter fell out. Come on. Come on, you piece of shit. Let's see. One moment. Technical difficulty. There we go. My Apple authorized is hard 7. I am not, because being Apple authorized would mean I'm not allowed to do any of what I'm doing right now, and it wouldn't make any difference to my business because I wouldn't get access to anything you see on the screen. Apple authorization does not mean that I get access to any of this. So all the stuff you see on the screen that I'm using, I have to get this off of some random pirated website. I can't get this stuff from Apple, even if I was authorized and willing to pay them. That's the way they roll. That is the way they roll. Okay. So, voltage. There's supposed to be 3.3 volts here, and there is 3.3 volts here. So, S5, we're going to continue down the list. This actually makes me really sad. PP3V3 S5 is there. Let's check S4 rails. Got this over there. Nothing on that S4. Okay, strange. Let's check another S4, like, I don't know, Pipit5ES4. Zero. Let's see if the enables are present. Now for the S4s to be enabled, you need P5ES4EN. P5ES4EN is going to come from PM Sleep S5L. I know where this is going. Yeah, I know where this shit's going. I know where this is going. This is gonna suck balls. Oh no. 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 Don't. No. 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 Not fair. Not fair. Lame. No. 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 Let's measure PM sleep S5L. I guess we should measure the sus-L as well. Sus-L. Are any of our S4s even being enabled? Probably not. Probably not. They're not. Fuck me. Alright. PM sleep sus-L. What about that? I hate this rel because it's named after a millennial word for everything that I despise. I just want to know if PM sleep sus is missing. And it looks like it is missing. Wait, no, Okay, is that my hand shaking or is that it going up and down? Oh, don't leave me now. Oh, babe, why are you running away? Oh, babe. Damn it! Okay, why are you doing that? It looks like it's going up and down. I'm going to hold my hand there for a moment. Thank you, Megadeth. My mental health went in the shitter a long time ago, though, so it's a little past for me. But I felt bad looking at what happened to that guy. What is this? Why is sus going up and down? Okay, you know what? This is time for one moment. I'm going to phone a friend. Hey, listen, I'm a bit out of practice. Don't get mad at me. I'm a bit out of practice. You know, I haven't been doing everyday board repair for a while. I'm going to phone a friend. Hello, friend. PP Bush G3 Hot is shorted to ground, and then when I actually go to attach my wire to it, not only is it no longer shorted, but it's 13 volts. Then PM Sleep sus-L, it jumps with a duration of about once every 3 to 5 seconds up to 2.2 volts back to 0. Wait 5 seconds, 2.2 volts back to 0.
What board is this?
H0000923. I wish I had on camera the face Paul's giving me right now. And there's no corrosion, by the way. But somebody else already took the battery out in a way that was horrible and took the screws out with it.
I would say your only hope is to watch the thermal cam.
It's taking 22 milliamps when it starts. That's nothing. What's going to show up?
If 13 volts is going down to 1 volt and that 1 volt is taking 3 amps or something like that, you might see it.
I don't know how to set up the thermal cam without it turning off my computer.
I already got it working.
It does?
Yeah, I got it working.
Oh, where's thermal cam? I'm going to give up and use thermal cam. This would be an amazing endorsement for them if this actually figures it out. Where's Dan? He's my other friend. I'm using phone a friend.
Well, this is your 50-50.
Because PM Sleep S5L is missing, but admittedly, I didn't leave my multimeter probe there long enough to really tell if it was pulsing in the same way that PM Sleep Sus was. I just kept my probe in PM Sleep Sus L longer because I was more desperate. PP bus? Why would I have a PP bus short that disappears?
I have fixed one of those once.
I hate that. That's not fair. Let me switch this over so they can see.
Okay, well, first thing I see is that your CPU is getting hot.
Well, that's good. It's thinking.
That's not good.
Oh, that's great news. It means my CPU is working. How hot is my CPU?
What's that right there?
What's this?
Is that a bad cap?
Huh?
I think that's a bad cap.
Where?
This one right here next to the can. See it pulsing? It's even breathing.
Whoa. Okay, you got me. Howie test is never going to catch 29 or 31 Celsius. What is that cap for? Yeah. So which one? This?
Yep, that's it.
PP5ES4.
You also have some heat up over here on this guy.
Is PP5ES4 shorted? Oh, wow. This okay, I think this thermal cam actually did kick my ass. This would actually be a great ad for it. Like Lewis. Wow! Okay, check this out. Get the multimeter on the screen. I'm going to check that cap. And okay, 0 ohms. But what if I go to inject power in there, and what if after I inject power in there, the short goes away again, and then it's something else like we did the first time?
That's breathing. That's a breathing cap.
Do you think that's
definitely dead?
You think it's this?
Yeah, it's definitely that cap.
So how does PM Sleep S4L missing cause PM Sleep Sus L to jump up and down?
I don't think PM Sleep Sus L is jumping up and down. I think S4s are jumping up and down, which is making PM Sleep
Isn't PM Sleep Sus L before that though?
Possibly. But it could be that it senses an overload down the line and everything turns off all the way up.
But that's before PP5
Like
is. Oh yeah, you're right.
If an SO senses, sometimes if an SO senses a short, it's going to drop all the way back to S5 and then try to start up again.
I don't know what to title this video. I think Lewis bashes thermal cam immediately regrets it. This is going to be Lewis bashes thermal cam immediately regrets it. Why do I need a thermal camera? I'm not getting up to use a thermal camera. Watch this thing turn on after this. So this was really kind of a please bro go because we didn't do any sort of real diagnostics other than looking at the screen. But that image really did help.
It does.
And are there any thermal cameras that are to a greater degree of resolution than that one that are not, $10,000?
No, they're all $10,000.
Well, what does that one retail for? Like $1,000 or so?
1,000, yeah. My only qualms with it is the software. The software sucks.
Yeah, the fact that you can't even $1,000. The fact that installing that software is that horrible, where like you can't even read the language in the installer. That's bullshit.
You have to trust that hitting next is good, and it doesn't even say next. It's just highlighted.
How similar is the last year donor board to this one? Can I just? I hate this thing. No, it's not. It's this. See this?
Oh.
This flickety.
Nice.
I need to have it at the right. Oh my god.
Just the right angle.
That drives me nuts.
It's a laptop.
Okay, let's confirm that the short has been removed before we attach something else to the board. Thermal Pepe for the win. Yep. I trashed it, and then I immediately regretted it. Yep, short is gone. Wow. So I didn't do what I used to, which is check for shorts on every major rail. Lame. That was dumb. I didn't think to do that. Usually when there's a short on a rail, I'll see it like, 22 milliamps up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, and it didn't do any of that here. It was just 22 milliamps static. No moving, but that actually saw it breathing. You have to see what they did to the inside of the case, Paul. If you look around the battery, you'll want to cry. They didn't give a shit about any of this. It was... Oh, yeah, up there. Oh, this?
1708.
Wait, whoops. Yeah, you're right. That is that. Look at this no screws.
Oh yeah.
And not aligned.
A lot of people doing that.
But why don't they ship it with the screws? Like, what do you?
Look, they misaligned it so bad here that the case screws chewed into the. This could short out and explode. This is where you get into trouble. This can short out this cell, and this cell will overheat and explode.
And also the pad. Sorry, Paul. The padding over here. Like somebody scratched that. Like,
that happens when you're with your tool in there.
That's fucking depressing as hell.
That's egregious to have that shorted.
I agree. So let's see what we got here. So 5 volts, 0 amps. Wait a second.
Oh, it's not even glued in.
Surely you're true. No way. Okay, there we go. 5 volts, 20 volts, 1.2 amps. There you go.
Turning on.
Look at that. Now, why was this other port not turning on? What is this shit? Oh, no, never mind. Just take an extra second. All right, no. So one of the charging ports is not working.
You either need a CD3215 or it's your charge port itself.
Well, this one now gives us 20 volts, 1 amp. So that's before we're getting 22 milliamps. Now we're getting an amp. So this is actually turning on. Do you remember which CD3215 corresponds to which port without looking at the schematic? Yeah. Well, it turns on. Now we have to figure out why the charging problem is taking place and inform them of all the other damage that's in the machine. Can you show them what you're talking about with the shorting out the battery part? Because this will be a good educational moment. Never do this to your computer. Alright, so what do we have here?
Right here, this battery's not taped in, and when they put it together, you can see that the this is the major bus bars. There's 2 copper bars here. You can separate them apart if you pull them apart. That send all the electricity from these 2 cells into everything else. And you can see that this was up here, and they screwed the screw into the bus bar a little bit. So if they would have nicked it a little bit farther, this thing would have shorted out and melted and probably killed these 2, and this whole thing would have went up in fire. Because they took it out and didn't want to tape it back in to make sure that it stays clear of all of that. Or even if they put the screws back, even if they just put the screws back over here, it would have held the battery down farther, so that would have never done that. But they left the screws out, they left it untaped, so they got it nicked by the screw, by the case screw.
That is lazy shit. Now, let's see.
Now we're trying to charge port first.
This port looks beautiful.
No tears in this or anything? Like up against here where you're bending, where you're flexing it?
Oh, never mind. This actually is...
Oh yeah, it's torn.
Oh, wow.
It's torn.
Well, that is a good eye. Look at this. I was looking at the top. I didn't look at the bottom of it yet. Take a look at this. And how much you want to bet this happened while they were disassembling and reassembling the computer?
Oh yeah.
By bending it back and forth too many... Oh, let me just pump up the light. And... yeah, so you see this? Look at that. It's splitting. This charge port cable is actually splitting.
They're not meant to be flexed more than 5 times.
Yeah, and you could tell that somebody probably flexed this a bunch. Oh, on the other side, too, it looks...
Oh yeah, they ripped it up. They need 2 charge ports.
Oh my god. That's sad. That's a lot.
Oh, Sonny's in the chat.
Sonny's there. Who worked on that? At least put some double-sided tape. I don't know, but I want to ask the customer who did. Maybe I'll announce it in the edited version of this video. That's bad. The screw going right through the battery cable is really, really, really
that
bad.
That would have been really bad when he did that.
And you know, one of the things that people say that's very interesting is that right to repair shouldn't exist because people are going to damage things nonstop. That if you have right to repair, people are going to blow things up. They blow things up right now. So, I mean, like, you don't need right to repair to exist to have a bad shop do bad work. Bad shops are going to do bad work and bad things pretty much regardless. We don't have access to schematics and diagrams and all that from the manufacturer, and somebody put a screw through a battery. So
people accept that with automotive. I don't know why they can't accept that with consumer electronics.
yeah. What do you think has the higher potential for damage? Like somebody messing with a lithium-ion battery in a laptop, or somebody what's the worst thing that somebody could do in a car that would cause pain to the customer? Like, what's the worst thing you could think of? Like
Either brakes or something with fuel lines.
So how could somebody mess up fuel lines in a manner that would be, you know, danger, and all that?
Well, anything on the injector rails or fuel lines, you can leave something loose and you have fuel dripping on the motor. Eventually that fuel is going to wind up somewhere on an exhaust manifold. It's going to evaporate violently, and there's going to be a spark somewhere that's going to ignite it.
Does that ever happen? How often
Yes.
would you say?
Not often. I've seen it once. It was on the track on a race car,
Oh.
which people have race cars. They always fuck with that shit. So of course somebody's going to forget something.
I fixed the board you gave me 7 years ago, says Sonny. No way. That's awesome. Thank you, Sonny. Thank you for the $2. And the brake, like, what do people mess up on brakes? Because, like, even I suck at doing brakes, but, like, it's pads. Like, they either fit in or they don't. What do people mess up on that?
They either get way too cheap of pads. Don't ever spend $20 on brake pads.
I spend $15 on brakes.
Spend at least like $60 on one set of brake pads. Don't ever spend $20 on brake pads. That's ridiculous.
They're gonna say that you're a brake pad shill. You said that people used to bring you $10 brake pads and you
Yes.
wouldn't.
And they would come back a week later and everything's ground down and they're blaming us like we did it wrong.
I pay $15 on brake pads for my bike.
Yeah, but look at the size of them.
Yeah, they're like this tiny.
They're paying $20 for brake pads this size.
Yeah, car brake pads are much bigger. So, is this an Amazon thing, or is this you go to an auto parts store and they actually sell crap
Well,
like that?
An auto parts store will sell it to you.
But auto
don't
parts
know why they
stores will
have
sell
them.
brake pads that are that shitty?
Yeah.
I always thought that that's something where you go to Amazon and they claim that it's the manufacturer's, but it's actually somebody else's, like a fake brand.
No, it's Advanced Auto Parts and AutoZone, the retail ones, they'll sell you shit. You go to one of your hometown ones, like I have Associated Auto Parts by me, you can't buy that crap in there. They don't have it. They don't stock it.
Aren't they afraid of somebody, suing them because of this or something? Or, but you can do that with your car,
Yeah.
and that's probably much more dangerous than a lithium battery.
Yes.
Well, everybody, I hope you learned something. Paul's way smarter than me, and the thermal camera is probably smarter than us all. So we'll see you in the next video. Bye now. If you're interested in doing the type of work that we do in this video, repairing motherboards at component level, and you'd like to learn more for free, I'd highly suggest that you check out our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Rossman Group. When you visit the channel, you can click on Playlists, scroll down, and you'll see a playlist called MacBook Component Level Logic Board Repairs. On this playlist, you will find over 600 videos detailing how to fix MacBook motherboards. If you feel like the content in these videos is a little bit too advanced for you, or like you need to learn a little bit more electronics theory before you're able to understand what we're going over, you can scroll down in the video description and click on the beginner's guide. When you click on the beginner's guide, you'll see this 150 slide guide that goes over everything from short detection to how transistors work, to how data lines work, to how buck converters work, so that you can better understand how to do these types of repairs. If you would like more free help, you can visit repair.wiki. On repair.wiki, we have all of the devices listed by model and board number, along with common solutions and common problems, so that you can get an idea of where to look for your particular problem. If you're unsure how to fix it and you just want to pay somebody else to fix it, look no further than rossmangroup.com. On rossmangroup.com, you can find repair services as well as mail-in repair services where you can mail in your repair from anywhere and we'll take care of it for you. If you'd like some paid help with your board repair but you'd still like to do it yourself, you can check out boards.rossmangroup.com, where we have expert-level technicians that will answer your questions for the low price of $29 a month. If you'd like to learn how to do this in an in-person classroom environment, look no further than rossmangroup.com, where you can go here, scroll down, click Learn Logic Board Repair, and sign up for a paid class to learn how to fix motherboards and learn in person how to do the work that we do here on this channel. We have paid resources available, and we also have free resources available for those who'd like to learn who don't have a budget to be able to pay for an in-person class. Lastly, if you'd like to purchase any of the tools that we used in this video, you can check the video description and you will see all of the tools that we use, from microscopes to freeze spray to soldering stations to soldering tips and so on and so forth. And you can visit places like store.rossmangroup.com to purchase some of the tools we use, like the Atten 862 Hot Air Rework Station. That's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye now.